Bentley set to follow Porsche in extending Ice Age, confirms CEO. Weekend shifts will be added at VW's Wolfsburg plant, which is considered the home of the company and its combustion engine cars. So let me get this straight. They're cutting production at Bentley completely. They're cutting production at the electric vehicles, VW, Audi and Cupra. And they're putting on extra shift where they make ICE vehicles. I mean, who in the right mind would want an electric Bentley? Have you ever driven one? You just wouldn't want an electric one. They are beautiful, they are a work of art. This is just effortless. You just don't want to drive fast, you just want to make it float. This is a motorway mile eater. You jump in this, drive to the south of France, or in my case Italy, get out the other side, fresh as a daisy. There's no silly things to take your mind off driving, no stop start, no lane departure warning. You make your own lanes in this. And I would imagine it's so wide. Can I just say what? You know, electrics. Electrics, you can't beat a V8. These electric cars that they're producing, they'll go as fast as a V8, no doubt, and a W12. But give me a proper, well-engineered internal combustion engine anytime. Just purrs along. Their poetry in motion. Bentley is ready in pure petrol successors to the Bentayga, Continental GT and Flying Spur in a reversal of its EV-only plan, brought on by drastic U-turn at Porsche late last week. Under its Beyond 100 strategy, the British luxury car maker planned to phase out petrol engines entirely by 2035, but it's now set for a significant alterations as its Volkswagen Group sibling firm doubles down on renewed commitments to ICE development. Porsche confirmed on Friday that it will commit $3.1 billion to extend the life of its ICE models. This notably includes new top models of the next generation 718 Boxster and Cayman, and no longer selling the planned K1 flagship as an EV. Fellow Volkswagen Group firm Audi cancelled its plan to go electric only by 2033 last year. Bentley CEO Frank Stefan Walliser told Autocar that as the three brands share platforms, drivetrains and other key components, decisions and investment in Stuttgart and Ingolstadt have had direct consequences in Crewe. He confirmed that Bentley still plans to launch a new plug-in hybrid or electric model every year from 2026, beginning with its first EV, an urban SUV. But with Porsche and Audi continuing to invest heavily on ICE technology for their best sellers, he said Bentley now has scope to balance its drivetrain mix more towards traditional petrol power further into the next decade than originally anticipated. As such, pure petrol successors to the Bentayga, Continental GT and Flying Spur are set to remain part of the lineup, reflecting demand from key markets such as the Middle East and North America. They were originally expected to be offered only with PHEV or EV powertrains. Backing the decision, Wallace has said there is a dip in demand for luxury electric vehicles and customer demand is not yet strong enough to support an all-electric strategy. The luxury market is a lot different today than when we announced Beyond 100. Electrification is still our goal, but we need to take our customers with us. Yeah, well, you won't, because they don't want them. Despite the change in tack, investment in Bentley's Crewe facility is pressing ahead with a new electric model assembly line, paint shop and design centre under construction. Bentley had already pushed its target for becoming an all-electric brand from 2030 to 2035, citing slowing demand in the luxury EV market. I don't think there was ever any demand in the luxury EV market to slow down. The Volkswagen Group's new direction and multi-billion euro investment in ICE models are expected to reinforce that decision. Let's just put this into perspective. Let's just examine it. There is a dip in demand for luxury electric vehicles, and customer demand is not yet strong enough to support an all-electric strategy. The luxury market is a lot different today than when we announced Beyond 100. VW to pause production at 2 plants as electric vehicle sales stall. German factories to halt work for 1 week next month in blow to EV switchover. That must be because there's no demand for electric luxury cars, mustn't it? That must be the Bentley plant, must it? Yeah. Is that a Bentley there? Oh. Volkswagen is to pause production at 2 of its plants in Germany because of weak demand for fully electric cars. The car maker will suspend work for 1 week in mid-October in Dresden, as well as its EV plant in Zwickau, which produces 6 EV models for VW, Audi and Cupra. But VW, Audi and Cupra don't make Bentleys, do they? It also plans to shorten the working week by a day at a 3rd plant in Osnabrück in Lower Saxony. The decision by a company emblematic of Germany's position as the engine of the EU's economy will be seen as a dent in the Union's hopes of switching the continent to electric vehicles in the next 10 years. Closure days are being considered at a 4th plant in Emden, which makes the ID4 and ID7. So let me guess this straight. So this slowing demand for luxury EVs like the Bentley and the Porsche and the Audi and the VW and the Cupra and the Skoda. Zwickau in Saxony has been converted to electric car production, with the last combustion engine rolling off the assembly line in 2020. The switch ended 116 years of history that included production of the Trabant car before German reunification. Stellantis, which owns Fiat and Peugeot, has announced a pause in production at several European factories for similar reasons to VW. There's a slowdown in luxury vehicles at Fiat and Peugeot. A VW spokesperson said Volkswagen is adjusting the production programme at its plants to match current customer demand for the models built there. In some plants, this will lead to shift cancellations in the coming weeks, while in others it will result in additional shifts. Weekend shifts will be added at VW's Wolfsburg plant, which is considered the home of the company and its combustion engine cars. So let me guess this straight. They're cutting production at Bentley completely. They're cutting production at the electric vehicles, and they're putting on extra shift where they make ICE vehicles. Weekend shifts will be added at VW's Wolfsburg plant, which is considered the home of the company and its combustion engine cars. Sales of EVs slowed last month. No, I'm sorry. Honestly, read the UK motoring press. Listen to the evangelists over here. 1 in 4 vehicles in June that were registered in June were electric. Used EVs, they're taking off. 1 in 10, up from 2.5% last year. 1 in 10 now are electric vehicles. Sales of EVs slowed last month while demand for hybrid battery models soared, underlying continuing consumer fears over range and the availability of charging points. Data from the European Automobile Manufacturers Association shows that while EV take-up in Norway is high, that's where they subsidise them with the money that they make by selling oil to the UK from the North Sea oil fields that we could actually drill. They're there, we're here. It's the same oil field we could drill, but instead they drill it because we're so clean. They sell it to us and then they subsidise EVs. So again, Norway are giving away EVs. That's the way I see it. You know, when you're doing a sum and you find you have to find the common denominator to make it easy. Well, the common denominator in all the shit stories in the UK is an EV. Adoption elsewhere in Europe is slow. In southern Europe, where there is little EV charging infrastructure, demand is particularly weak. Well, it would be, wouldn't it? Overall, just 16% of new car sales are EVs, according to the association's data. The figure for hybrids is 37%. Chinese brands are making significant inroads in the European market, with sales of the BYD brand up nearly 250% in the first 8 months of this year, compared with the same period in 2024. Now, just before we go on there was a headline in our fantastic UK motor trade press that Chinese EVs outsold the legacy makers like Audi and Renault. Now, at first, what they didn't say was it was the top 5 Chinese EV automakers, and that there actually was 500 Chinese EV automakers, and they're now down to about 140 because 360 have gone bang, and they're also expecting about another 110 to go bang. So if you think you've got a cheap Chinese EV, let's just wait a bit, eh? Let's see if it's still cheap when, like the lady with a Fisker, it's on a drive and can't move it. Last week, VW's chief executive, Oliver Bloom, said manufacturers were experiencing massive changes with a clear drop in demand for battery electric cars. The company's ID models are among the EU's top sellers, but the smaller ID4 has been particularly vulnerable to punishing tariffs imposed by Donald Trump, the US president. According to VW's publicity material, almost every second registered electric car of the Volkswagen Group worldwide comes from Wicow. I'm assuming the Z's silent. Non sprechen Sie Deutsch. I mean, I just don't get it. How can you see all these stories on GB News? Diesels are going up in cap. A video I did the other day, a Land Rover brought £9,000 over book, was it? £9,000 over book. I've showed you that EVs are going for under book. But the stories are, nobody wants diesels, everybody wants EVs. I'm afraid that the economics show it to be different. If nobody wanted a vehicle, it would be going down, not up. And if they did want it, and they're selling faster, and there's going to be a limited supply, the price would go up. But it's happening exactly the opposite way. Shifts at the ICE factory, they're working weekends, they're shutting the EV factories, they're working 1 day a week less at the other EV factory. ICE vehicles working weekend shifts. Don't kidder, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.